Hello, guys. This is Dusty Neal, and this is Deep Think, and we are on again. We had to adjust our microphones and our lights and all of our stuff, which I'm still adjusting and getting used to this setup.
Check, check.
See, check 1, 2, 3, 4. Check 1, 2, 3, 4. So, Deep Think, let's skip that subject that we thought we are going to talk about.
All right.
Let's try to go up with another subject.
All right. It's a pretty touchy subject, so
It is, and I don't think you guys are ready for it yet. So it's pretty.
I don't
it's pretty
think
potent.
we're ready for it yet.
No, we're ready. We're ready. Trust me. But let's talk.
Well, now you've just thrown me into the deep end without any cues.
Let's talk about light and space and galaxies and how we're going. Well, how are we going to make better technologies to get to Mars?
Right.
Yes.
Space is just so absolutely huge. It is mind-boggling.
Well, I mean, how big is space?
Oh, how big is space?
Yeah, just
It's infinite. It just keeps going.
Thank God we agree finally. It is infinite, and a lot of scientists and people are going to figure that out later on as we go. It's just going to be another 10 more years, but they will figure out that space is infinite. They've got the James Webb telescope out there, and it's doing the deep space kind of scoping out, and they're already finding black holes, new galaxies that are even farther away than what we anticipated our visual universe would be. And also some things that are so far away that it's impossible for us to see them because they're older than when we thought time began with the universe, with the Big Bang.
Yeah.
So
I just recently read an article that our current understanding of the universe itself is flawed.
our what is flawed?
Our understanding of the universe is flawed.
Hmm.
There's some serious problems with our current theories based off of
Yeah, just a little bit.
based off of measurements that these deep space satellites have been picking up. Previously, it was thought that it was like a rounding error.
Yeah.
And that it's like they just hand waved it away and they're like, oh, it's a rounding error. We still have the right idea.
Yeah.
But now, no. we have confirmed from different satellites the same measurements that don't like combine to make what our current theories are.
In other words, our mathematics are failing.
No, our math is fine.
Well, what about inside of a black hole?
Well,
When you get to a singularity, our math goes crazy. It doesn't even make sense anymore.
right.
Yeah,
Well,
I've seen lots of documentaries that say that's the way they answer is just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like a point of no return where you can't actually get any information out of it. So it's like an empty space in science that we can't look into. So any theories in there about that are kind of always going to be supposition.
Isn't it funny how like Wikipedia or Google will state it as a fact?
Well, I mean,
I guess it's a fact that we know this much so far.
like as far as we know, exactly.
Yeah.
We can only like there are no true facts. Like facts in and of themselves are kind of a function of their surroundings as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can have something that you say is a fact, but that's only true like in this universe with this set of laws. Or
Is there really anything that is a true fact in this world?
so truth is a tricky thing because if you want to say that something is true, that's only half of a statement.
Got you.
Because in order for something to be true, you also have to have the environment in which it
And
is
the
true.
evidence, of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the evidence, of course. But basically, you can say, like, is something good or evil? You can't really know that because it depends on your point of view. like for cows, humans are kind of very evil.
Oh God.
Because we farm them and take their entire lives and turn it into a product for our consumption. For us, like, cow farms are pretty good because it gives us delicious burgers.
Even though we go and
Right.
yeah, God, that's awful. I can't even kill any kind of animals. I mean,
Well, do you eat meat?
well, I didn't say I killed them, but yeah.
Well, secondhand, you're, supporting the industry that is killing them.
Well, let me tell the audience how I learned.
By the way, I'm not a vegetarian. I also eat meat. I've just come to grips
What's
with
the
the
percentage
fact.
of the world that actually eats meat?
I don't know. I think most. We'd have to look that up. Yeah.
Well, we do have an iPhone right here. We could look it up.
You need to have an official looker-upper.
Official looker-upper, kind of like Joe Rogan has.
Exactly.
Basically, everything he's talking about, he's already got it typed up, and Joe Rogan can just look over.
Right.
Joe Rogan is going to see this
talking about
YouTube,
this,
and he's going to be like, "Mofo, that is not how I do it at all. So stop lying, and I'm going to take you out like Mike Tyson and freaking Jake Paul."
Oh, man.
Don't talk no smack.
Yeah.
So let's look that up. So,
Yeah, Dusty here's been showing me the videos of Mike Tyson getting ready for the fight.
oh man, everybody's voting for Mike Tyson.
Yeah.
Oh my God, they are. So let's see. What percentage of people eat meat in this world? Woo! We got a high percentage, guys. 70 to 75% of people.
That's actually
Eat meat.
smaller than I thought it would be.
Oh, that's a lot bigger with all the vegans and all the vegetarians and the vegans, vegetarians, same thing, aren't they? Yeah.
Well,
with all
no.
They're not.
No, vegetarians just don't eat meat.
Got you.
Vegans don't eat any animal products, period, like eggs, milk.
Mhm.
They're just plant matter only.
How can you? I mean, don't get me wrong. I have nothing against vegans at all, but I guess it takes a lot of training to live like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it just takes
I
a
mean-
very specific diet to be able to survive like that. You need your proteins, which you usually get from meat.
Yeah. Well, how do you? That's what I was thinking. How do you get your proteins?
If you eat rice and beans together, they form
Mhm.
together to create a complete protein, or at least so I've been told. And you can survive off of that.
Do you think a lot of
The
them
Cowboys
take supplements?
Did pretty good with that, right? With the beans.
Do you think a lot of them take supplements?
Well, they could. It's probably a good idea to take supplements if you're a vegan.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah, I've seen some vegans have like dark circles underneath their eyes. They just look like they're not. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I have nothing against vegans, but some of them look very malnutrition. And I
Yeah.
always want to be
Well-
like, maybe you should take some supplements. And they're like, nah, don't tell me how to eat. I'm like, okay, I'm just giving a suggestion. But
Well, meat is an extremely rich food that lets you get a lot of calories and protein by eating very little.
Mhm.
In order to survive off of a plant-based diet, you need to eat a lot more to get the same amount of nutrition.
mhm. So you have to basically readjust your body to be able to eat that. I bet when you turn vegan and you've been eating regular all your life, I bet you're going to go through some major withdrawals.
Yeah, yeah. It
I
can be
mean-
very tough to switch over to being vegan or vegetarian.
There's one person that actually took all the sugars out of his life, anything that was sugar, except for fruit. He basically switched over from, what is it? What's the sugar, the cane syrup, or what is it called? Corn syrup?
Toast corn syrup.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's in everything. So he basically went off the fructose corn syrup.
Oh
and
man, that would be difficult.
he went
That's in
complete.
everything.
I know, but he did it. He did it. and he adjusted it, and he said that when he did it, he ate fruit to get his sugars and stuff like that. He said he actually went through a whole week, like 7 days of withdrawals until his body started balancing out.
Yeah.
So I wonder,
sugar is highly addictive.
Well, the one thing I wonder is, if you did that, what chemicals in your body are you really missing out on? That's your natural chemicals of your body by eating all the food that's produced out there with the corn syrup.
Well,
is that an interesting question?
Yeah, you're able to get a lot more calories with a lot less nutrients by eating sugars. And this, if your diet is unbalanced, then of course you're going to suffer for it.
Well, it's kind of like alcoholism, which a lot of Americans struggle from alcoholism. I just had a buddy of mine pass away recently. It was pretty sad, but I'm getting past it. But the main thing is, when you're drinking alcohol, it basically, if you become a major functioning alcoholic, your serotonin that produces in your body at high levels naturally, that helps you sleep, helps your heart rate, helps you calm down, helps you have less anxieties. It shuts down because it says, well, I've got alcohol. I mean, I know it because I went through that, guys. When my father and my brother passed away, I drank, not to get drunk, but just drank just enough peppermint schnapps for a solid month because I was kind of down. And I didn't stop drinking. I basically drank every day. Drank a shot, drank a shot, drank a shot. And I drank throughout hour to hour and kept this buzz for a solid 30 days. And when I finally stopped drinking, oh man, it was bad. It was terrible. I mean, my body was freaking out. I had to go to the hospital. It just sucked for me, like big time. I got to the hospital. I actually had to, and I feel for you guys out there that have this alcohol issue. I really do, and I wish I could help you guys out with this problem. But I actually, before the ambulance came and picked me up, I had to chug down a half of a 740 of peppermint schnapps just to calm my body down, to get me in the ambulance, to get me to the hospital, and regulate out. And then when I started withdrawing again, because this was the last time I drank. And by the way, today is my 5-year anniversary of being 100% sober. So yeah, it's awesome, guys. I'm telling you, you should try it. It is very difficult. I'll get back to the story about the hospital in just a second, but it is very difficult to stop drinking. It is. But I tell you this, the first 3 months are the hardest because you're going to go through depression like you would not believe. You're going through anxieties, depression, and of course, a lot of stress because you still have to live your life. You still have to go to work. You still have to pay your bills. You still have the norm stuff on your plate. But now you're going through feeling just awful because you're not drinking. Depression sets in like hardcore. But the way I got through it is basically I reminded myself that this is just a part of the process. Yeah, I'm not really depressed. It's the alcohol. It's my body reacting to what I did to my body with the alcohol. And then once you get past the 3 months, you get to 5 or 6 months, you feel amazing, guys. Amazing. I mean, my brain was sharp. I felt active. I was like, oh my God, I feel good. But there was one thing. I wanted to go out to the bars again. I was like, hey, well, shit, I got it handled, I got it handled. So I'll just go out to the bars again and have some fun and be okay with that. But then I thought, wait, what did my counselor tell me that when I was in detox, which I'm about to get back to that story. She said it's basically a loop. So you start out not drinking, you go all these months, go through your stuff, you get to your 6 months, you feel good, and then you fall back into the cesspool. And then you start all over again. And you think you're really strong enough, but guys, it took me 7 times to stop drinking. So when I did, it was awesome. I'm glad. but which I did it for my brother, my father, and my daughter that I love very much. But once I got up to the year, that was the amazing thing. There was another thing. I kind of didn't want to be around anybody that drank alcohol. And I know that was kind of mean, but I just didn't need it in my life. And of course, I had a lot of my friends make fun of me because I didn't want to drink anymore. And oh my God, oh, you're being a drama queen, Dusty Neal. And I'm just not. I just did not want to drink. I drank all through my musician career. I think I started drinking when I was like 12 years old. Yeah. That was my first alcoholic drink. And basically went through from there.
Yeah, it's highly important.
Yes.
To distance yourself from the people who enable you to continue the bad habit. That you have.
Big time.
Because like it kind of becomes like a personality of like who you are with those people. Mm-hmm. And it's like if the entire like hub of your friends group or the people that you hang out with is a destructive habit like that, then it is nearly impossible to get away from.
And don't get me wrong, guys, my friends aren't bad people. They're great. They're awesome. But they choose to go out to the bars and blow all their money, which I saw how much money I saved when I didn't go to the bars anymore. Oh, my God. I didn't believe how much money came back to me. I was like, wow, I was spending that much in the bars. But my friends aren't bad cats, and thank God they're all doing the same thing. All my closest friends are all going down the path of getting rid of alcoholism in their life. They've had too much bad experience on it, and I've had some horrible stories from some of my friends that have lost everything and started over and then lost everything again. Just couldn't get it right. But the thing is, guys, once you get past that 3 months of depression, once you get past that 5 to 6 months and you're like feeling great and you want to go back to the bars, but you got to think about your past. You really do. You got to think about, what did I do wrong? How much did I drink? Do I really want to go to the hospital again? And you've got to make it a definite life change, kind of like, I'm going to do this no matter what. But once you make it to that year, it's amazing after that. You feel more sharp. You don't feel depressed anymore. Things that you got depressed about, it took you months to get over. It only took me 3 days to get over certain things. When I stopped drinking, I got past my father and my brother passing away, and I felt better. And I knew how to handle it. I know they're with God, so it's good. And I know they would want me to stop drinking, so that was good. But the hardest thing was I had to discontinue hanging out with all the drinkers. I had to move on. And 3 years down the line, I finally went out and I could be at the bars. But then I found out I don't even want to be at the bars anymore. It's weird. I don't want to be at the bars. I mean, I love singing karaoke and having fun with everybody, but I don't miss hooting with the owls. I miss my friends and all the people that I got to talk to, but I don't miss the drinking or the drama that comes along with drinking. And it does. Every single time you go out, you got a girl and a guy that are fighting at the top of their lungs, and you try to explain to them what's wrong, and they can't really get it in their head because they're so drunk that their emotions have just went off the deep end. So I just decided I didn't want that in my life anymore. I mean, I made a lot of changes, and I'm so glad that I made it to the 5 years now. I'm much more
It's a big
blessed.
achievement.
Oh yeah.
Very good.
So now I'm helping others get past this too, along with a lot of other things. That's why we started this show, and to discuss anything and everything on this show, to be able to go over thousands of problems. I mean, it's never gonna end how many problems we're gonna talk about on this show. So
there's always more problems.
Yes. So back to the hospital thing for a second, and I want to tell you this story so you guys will learn out there that it's not worth it. It's not worth drinking anymore. So I get to the hospital. My alcohol starts wearing off. I was going through withdrawals so badly that my heart actually skipped and actually stopped, and they had to kind of resuscitate me, and I almost died. So Yeah, you didn't know that, did you, D-Thing?
No.
This is why I'm so strong on not drinking ever again. So not only did I go through that, when they sent me over to detox when I was strong enough to get to detox, the hallucinations were horrible. I mean, I had some weird dreams that felt so realistic. I mean, I had this one dream where it's a weird story. I go to sleep and I start hearing these little voices, and I'm thinking, what's that sound? You know, wait a minute. And I started thinking, and because I'm a musician, because I've been through a musician career, I've heard my name a billion times. Dusty Neal, right?
Yeah.
So
you told me this story.
Yes. So I walk up to the door and I'm listening at the door, and I'm hear this. Dusty Neal. And suddenly what they were saying turned into a song. It started going, it's Dusty Neal. It's Dusty Neal. It's Dusty Neal. It's Dusty Neal. Dusty Neal. It's Dusty Neal. Dusty Neal. And it was as loud as the radio that's playing in the background right now. I was like, oh my God, am I going nuts? And I had to be so strong and go, it's just in my head. It's just in my head. I know it is in my head. So I basically thought to myself, it's Dusty Neal rocking on. It's Dusty Neal rocking on. It's Dusty Neal. And then it switched around. It's Dusty Neal rocking on. It's Dusty Neal rocking on. And it just kept on. And then I go, okay, I got this handled. I got this. I'm just fine now. Okay. I lay back down. Of course, they've got me on, meds and stuff to calm me down from my withdrawals. So I lay down and I lay there and I start looking at the ceiling, and I start hearing like a snoring noise from one of the other rooms that are around me. And I'm like looking at the ceiling, and suddenly this bright light, no kidding, dude, bright light came out of the ceiling like a bottom part of the moon just kind of came out of the ceiling with like that much of the moon, like a circle. Okay. Yeah. And it sat there.
A sphere was coming down through the ceiling.
And I'd probably fallen asleep. I didn't know, So I'm sitting there, and I have my eyes open. I'm looking at the room. The sphere in the room is actually lighting up the room. Not enough, just like very dim, just enough where I can see the room. Then these Indian people, no kidding. I mean, I was hallucinating bad.
Were you in Colorado at that time?
Yeah, I was in Colorado.
There you go.
So these Indian people, and I ain't talking about, no, you're not Indians. Not Indians like, Comanche and stuff like that, but more like Indians, right. Like the red dot, stuff like that. So they kind of came around me, and they started singing over me. And it was weird. They were singing over me, and I was like, I was totally like just frozen. I could not move. You know those terror dreams where you freeze and you get stuck and you really can't like move, and you're just like staring and
I've got some stories about those.
Yeah, we'll get to that next. We'll get to that. So I want to hear that, by the way. So I'm in there, and I just couldn't move. So they all kind of grouped around me, and this old lady came up, and the snoring that I heard before suddenly turned into her singing. Like that. And then this guy with a gray beard with a cross on his head with a dot came over and had this little cup and dipped his finger in the cup. I think it was milk or something. And he put a cross on my head. And I could feel the wetness on my head. And then once they got through doing their thing over me, the lady put a blanket over me. Okay. And maybe in the real world, what's happening is I was withdrawn real bad, and then someone came in to check on me, and they put a blanket over me. But when they put the blanket over me, it had these shiny beads all around the edges of the gray blanket that they put over me, like these little lights. Okay, so then I passed out. I was out, right? I woke up the next morning feeling really, really good for once. This is when I was starting to recover from everything. So this was actually at my third day, by the way, because they kept me 2 days in the hospital, and then third day I was at the detox. So it's feeling good. I looked at the blanket, and it had all these little beads, green, blue, red, all sewn into the blanket. I even asked the people that were there, the counselors, I go, where'd this blanket come from? They go, well, first of all, we don't sew beads into the blanket. And we don't know where that came from, actually.
Do you think some people might have snuck into your hospital room?
I have no idea. I was like, dude, I do not know. And I was
somehow.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't a dream.
I don't know, man. I woke up and I felt better. I did. And, you know, I got to keep on this story. Do you mind?
Go ahead.
Real fast. So,
go for it.
you know, so I basically, and I'd been to detox, guys, 6 other times before this, going back and getting myself better because, you know, my brother and my father had been having problems for a long time, and I just could not deal with it. So I kept on drinking and then thinking it'd be okay. And then I ended up in detox again. And then I was doing that constant loop that my counselor was talking about in detox. So I get to the counseling sessions, and I'm always Mr. Joker, you know me, just Mr. Joker, Mr. Hyped up guy. That's just who I am, you know. I'm not ever down. I'm very strong, and I'm sitting there in the class, and I've got my blanket over my head, and I'm just watching, and I'm leaning my head to the side, and I'm just literally quiet as ever, and I'm listening to the counselor. And I make some jokes, like I always do when I get in there, and I make jokes about certain things. And she started laughing herself, but she said this time, and this is what really kicked in my brain. She said to me, and I love her to death. She was so awesome. I think I even flirted with her when I was in there, but anyways, so no, I'm kidding. I didn't flirt with her. So she basically called me out in the whole class and said, guys, I know Dusty Neal's in here and I know this is all funny and stuff and he makes some good jokes, but guys, I gotta be serious for a second. And I was like, oh my God, what's she gonna say? Guys, Dusty Neal almost died. And the whole classroom, well, I could call it a classroom. It's a surrounding of people with blankets on them, withdrawing and going through drug addict stuff and drug addiction and all kinds of stuff, and they're all surrounding me. But she said Dusty Neal almost died, and so I was just like, wow, she just said that, and I could not help it. I started crying. Tears came out of my eyes. I bawled, and I cried in front of the class, and the whole class gave me a hug. And after that, I made a decision I wasn't going to drink anymore. That was it. I was done. And then I also said, you know what? Can I stay longer into detox so I can come back to this counseling? Yeah, you can stay as long as you want. I said, cool. So I actually ended up staying another week and a half, longer than I was supposed to, just to be able to learn about maybe if I had some issues or problems. And I'm always saying, guys, if you're ever in there and you have some counseling around you, I would take advantage of it, because I'm a stubborn mofo and I didn't want to listen. But I finally listened, and it changed my whole life. So, yeah, that's what happened. And now here I am 5 years later, on my anniversary, not drinking anymore. I wish I could go back to that counselor and tell her, thank you for embarrassing me.
Yeah.
You know,
Sometimes that's what it takes.
You know, I did go to one day of AA.
Little public shaming can go a long way.
Oh, man, it does wonders.
Behavior.
Yeah, it's called tough love. So... But I did go to AA one time, and I went in there, and I didn't feel it. I felt like, you know what, I can handle this on my own. Not everybody, I'm not saying you guys should all just diss AA, but I was one person that was struggling from two things. Depression from my brother and my father, and that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. I mean, I wasn't struggling from displacement at home. I didn't have any, issues about the past. I wasn't struggling. I've already forgiven all that. I've already moved on with my life, with everything. And that's another thing we'll talk about in just a second, is about living in the moment, which is really good. But I moved past, and then I figured out, I got my coin, and I said, I don't need this. I don't need this. And I didn't. And I never went back, but never drank again. So here I am.
Yeah, and I can do a test of that.
Hell yeah.
You have not-
Heck yeah. I mean, we try not to cuss on this show, but
Yeah.
but anyways, all right. So let's hear about your dream that you had with your.
Oh man,
Let's hear it.
wasn't-
Let's tell them what your dreams are
it
like.
wasn't a single dream. It was a series of dreams.
A series of dreams, just in case anybody can relate to this that has been through this. Listen to Deep Think. Go ahead.
So at one point in my life, I started to have night terrors pretty consistently. And the thing is that, like, I tried everything
Excuse
to
me.
get out of this because, like, I cannot tell you a time that I have felt more terror than when I have had night terrors. It's just like so visceral that it literally freezes you. You are unable to move. It's just like there's a
Let's
knob
go
called
really,
terror,
really deep.
and they turn it all the way up to 11. It is
So tell us what it's like
crazy.
tell me just one of the scariest ones you ever had from beginning to end.
Well, the thing is that
Let's really show the people what it's all about.
the dreams themselves aren't that scary.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like normal, like scary stuff like
Yeah.
you'd see in the movie. But the thing is that you are reacting to it as if it is the most terrifying thing in the world, and it like freezes you solid. And,
Is the terrifying thing that you can't move?
well, it's one. Sometimes you can't move. Sometimes you can. Mostly you can't move.
Mhm.
Two is that you basically can't wake up. You know you're dreaming, and you're like, okay, open your eyes, but you cannot. It really sucks.
God, I can imagine that. That's,
Yeah. Essentially, it took the form of a black figure, a humanoid figure.
Oh, you're talking about shadow people.
Well, I would say that shadow people are probably something different than this.
Oh, really? So it was just an entity of. Was it an orb of blackness, or did it have? You said it took shape.
Yeah,
Of a person?
It was like a human form, and it would come and it would like grab onto me, like my wrist or something,
Yeah.
or my leg, and like it would just turn the fear up, like way past anything that I've ever experienced in real life.
Wow.
It was terrible. So I did everything I could possibly think of to start combating this thing,
Mhm.
whatever it was, if it was a thing or if it was just, a trick of the mind. I have no idea. But basically, I tried fighting against it, and that didn't work. I tried.
You tried
like,
what? What'd you do?
I tried fighting against it, but you can't fight against it because you're paralyzed. You're just like, I can't do anything. I tried creating sort of like a barrier around myself to like keep the darkness out.
Yeah.
It just bust right through that. But ultimately,
How did you create a barrier? I don't understand that.
so
A barrier of energy, like an orb.
well,
Like, I am totally protected in here. Kind of like a little kid that pulls a blanket over his head, just goes, okay, the monster's not going to get me in here.
right, yeah. Well, it's through this experience that I kind of learned how to lucid dream and gain control over like the stuff that was happening in my dreams,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But like whenever this thing came, I would just lose that control. I'd still be able to like create stuff and make certain things true, but couldn't
What?
make
Oh, like the
everything.
movie Inception?
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio. Yeah.
Yeah. I even
That's
like
cool.
designed a guardian for myself to try to fight it off for me. I was.
It's like,
totally
if this is my
paralyzed, so
imagination,
something else might not be paralyzed. Right?
I'm going to create something else that's going to kick that thing's butt.
Exactly. Yeah. Nothing worked. Nothing.
And then what were you left with? I mean, just sitting there paralyzed? I mean, God,
Well,
you
yeah.
got to think of people
well,
that.
the thing is that I got to the point where I became so aware of it that, and it usually happens right before I was falling asleep, like in that space right between like being fully asleep and being awake.
Mm-hmm.
And for wakefulness as well, like when I was waking up. But I would be able to feel it coming on, and at that point I wasn't fully asleep yet, so I could wake myself up again.
What were the symptoms that it was coming?
Just an edging in of the fear, like the knob started to get turned up.
Are you sure you weren't like falling asleep and you were getting that mixed up with? Because I remember I had discussed with you that I actually practiced lucid dreaming when I was a kid for a long time. And the way that I would fall asleep, well, the way that I just realized I could see stars through my shirt. You see that?
It's kind of invisible.
Ooh, I've got an invisible cloak on. Not invisible, but little bit of transparency going on here. Yeah. I have a galaxy right in the middle of my chest, right here. I have the Big Dipper right here.
All right, stay on topic.
Hey, we're all made of the universe, right? Yeah. So, yeah, I used to practice lucid dreaming, and I'd know when I was going to fall asleep is because when I would lay there and I would start to fall asleep, the covers... I mean, if you don't really pay attention to this kind of stuff and you don't practice lucid dreaming, you probably won't get the same kind of effect. But I had to have some kind of signal that I was falling asleep. And my signal was my bed. Like I would basically, the covers would start moving in on me and they would make noises like they're grabbing me. And that's how I knew I was about to go into dream world. It was weird. And then say if I didn't get the reaction of the covers and I just fell asleep. Well, I would always go in thinking, okay, if I'm ever dreaming, I've got to remind myself or not wake myself up, because I did that. I realized for the first time that I actually was dreaming and I woke up. I was like, darn it, I want to go back to that dream. Right. And then yeah,
it's really nice when you can go back and then you actually do start off where you left off.
Exactly. Dream. Yes, it's awesome.
Yeah.
But then so I had to practice on things when something was happening and I go, okay, I got to remember that ain't real when it does happen. And I have to have a way to test it out. So my way was basically when you jump off the ground in your dream. And if you float just a little bit, you know you're dreaming. And when you figure out that you are dreaming, you need to literally go into a meditative stage because you'll wake up. You'll wake your whole body up. Yeah. So you have to relax even more. Relax and go, okay, I'm still dreaming. I don't need to wake up. I need to let the whatever chemical that's released in my body release more so I can dream more.
Right. You can't get super excited.
You can't.
Suddenly have control over your dream. You're just like, no more dreams.
And if you ever lose control of your dream, just close your eyes real tight. As tight as you can, and that'll usually wake you up. Or try to look at your hands in your dream. And you can't, it's really weird. If you do look at your hands, they look all weird and distorted and everything else.
It's like trying to read.
Yeah, it is. And you can't read. Yeah, it's like trying to find the light in the house when everything's dark in your dream. And you're like, where's the light at? And none of the light switches work. It's like, oh my God, this is so annoying. But but I got to the point where basically I could control my dreams perfectly. I could literally, and what's so funny is I did it for years, okay? So I would make cars for him. I practiced on walking through walls in my dreams. That was hard because I would always get used to touching the wall. But what I did is I thought of the movie Ghost.
Oh, yeah.
With Patrick Swayze. And basically, you know how he was like, he made that sound to get through the wall, and then he pops out the other side. Right. It was that basically Patrick Swayze movie that helped me out with my dreaming, with my lucid dreaming. So I went to it and I basically said to myself, the wall does not exist. There is no space in this dream. There are no solid objects. I can move anywhere I want to. And once I got that down, I could literally, I was literally becoming the creator of my dream. Mm-hmm. So I'd build cars, I'd make people appear, disappear, I'd be like, I could literally put myself in a shiny environment. I would fly around like Neo in Matrix.
That sounds pretty fun.
Oh, it was fun. But you know what messed me up? I guess because of my music career, I started getting really stressed out. It was 17 years. Oof. It put me through a lot. But I started having these tornado dreams where I could not control the tornado. And I would look at it and go, what is wrong? Why am I having these kind of dreams? And I usually can control it. And I know it's not real, but inside of me, I kind of feared it a little bit. It was like, I guess because when I was younger, I lived in Tornado Alley. So, that's Missouri and Oklahoma and Kansas and all that stuff. So I lived in one of those states when I was younger. So, and I saw tornadoes all the time. I was even in a tornado one time as a little kid, and it was my cousin, my sister, and me in the back of a Plymouth Arrow. You ever seen a Plymouth Arrow? Those little trucks, those little tan trucks, just 3-seater. One sits B, and then the other two people sit on the other side, and the other one gets shifted. And then we had a camper on the back, and so when the tornado was coming, we had to get out of the vehicle. We could not stay in the vehicle. We couldn't run away from it either because the winds had gotten so strong, we couldn't even push forward. It was sucking us towards it. So we all got out of the vehicle, and I'm so sorry to my cousin. me and my sister, we both jumped out, and here comes my cousin putting his hands on the back of the truck to get out too. And of course, because my dad or my mom, I forget who it was, had me in her arms and my sister, she walks away, and the gate came down, whap, on his hands, his little hands. Wow. And she didn't, and then you got to think of this. We're all leaving the truck. We're all out of the truck. We're jumping down into the ditch, right?
Yep.
We're jumping down into a deep ditch because that's the safest spot. So no flying debris, anything else,
Yep.
and not any high winds.
Yep.
So, and it also, if you get a
also
sucking,
keeps it from getting sucked out.
Exactly. So we get in the ditch,
Yeah.
and we forgot Tommy. And then my dad, or I think it was my grandpa or dad, runs back.
You do not
and
want
grabs,
to go inside a tunnel.
Yeah, I know. It'll just blow through.
Right.
So we didn't forget him. We were just so scared of our mind as the tornado was coming over us. I mean, it literally was probably this tornado was huge. I mean, it was 50 feet. I mean, more than 50 feet wide. It was huge. It was like a whole block coming over us, blowing at high winds. And then I think my dad or my grandpa or something, I forget who was in the car. It was either my dad or my grandpa, but they ran back, grabbed Tommy. I don't like to say names on the thing, but okay. But grabbed him and put him in the ditch with us. And then I wonder if my cousin ever has fears because of that. Yeah. I mean, I was already scared from it. But to get back to the dream, I had all these tornadoes. And in the dream, I was running from them, hiding in houses, and then people that are around me. It probably was because of that.
Yeah.
And I was always saving them in my dream. So I had these dreams, and that was like your terror dreams. Yeah. It was like that. I would have these terror dreams where the tornadoes would be around. And finally, I got so tired of having them. I got tired of being afraid of those tornado dreams. So you know what I did?
What'd you do?
I knew ones were coming. I waited for a big black tornado to come towards me because they were always like dark, metallic, black and gray, like just these real mean. And that's what they sounded like because that's what a tornado sounds like. Mm-hmm. And it's just, and as it's passing by, I ran and I jumped right into it.
Yeah, there you go.
I jumped right into it, and I felt my fear. But once I got in it, I wasn't scared anymore. But guess what? The dreams stopped.
Yeah.
You know what?
Gotta say that as a segue back into my own experiences with the night terrors, my own solution was nearly the same.
Really?
Yeah. Just
to jump right in and... wait. What was your solution? Explain your solution.
So basically, I tried fighting it off in every way possible. So the only thing left to me was to accept it, to just be
make it a part of you.
Yeah, basically, I had
accept you.
I had a few dreams after that where instead of fighting against it and trying to like get it away from me,
Yeah.
I pulled it in. And I found that if I pulled it down into my stomach, I could digest that fear energy.
That's why you're so smart.
And refocus it into a pure form.
You
like
are two brains, not just one.
The specific dream, right? Yeah,
you have two souls inside of you.
I have a dark side.
You have a dark side.
No.
But then suddenly, deep think, he was in another world. there's my movie voice.
The specific dream I had, like this thing would always come.
Yeah.
And it was like humanoid. It was usually covered in this black smoke. During one of my dreams, I was able to like sort of pull myself inside of the smoke, and I saw this like decrepit old man just like clinging onto me, just like.
Oh like, my God!
Holy cow! It was terrifying.
What is that movie? What was that recent movie? Oh, what was it called? Inception.
Let me continue.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. That's going to remind me of that. That old man.
Right,
yeah, right. Go ahead.
No. So basically, instead of like pushing him away, I like drew him in and like sort of like he like dissolved like into me. I pushed that energy into my stomach. I basically digested it so it was pure energy. Then I felt like incredibly energized. Like I was just like buzzing with energy. And like what was left over was like this little like African American girl that I was holding in my hands.
Aww.
She was pretty cute. She had cornrows.
Yeah.
That stuck out. But
beautiful little girl.
Yeah. And I decided to...
You helped a soul be reborn.
Right? I could have. It's possible. I found that I was able to adjust that energy back into an emotion. I turned it into love. And I poured it back into this girl.
That is so sweet.
And very, very strangely, while I was doing this, I heard like in the background, "How did you do that? That isn't possible." And then that was it. I never had night terrors again. It was very strange. But I do believe that you can learn a lot from your dreams. Like there's.
Did you hear that, guys?
Going on
well, I'm pretty sure the world already knows about how much you can learn a lot from your dreams because that's been around for a little while. But yeah, that's crazy.
Like I've also taken this lesson into my own life, into like actual real life, which you can do. Like
you've chased old men around and grabbed them really fast and squished them down, pulled them inside of you, and then produced a little baby.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
My baby.
No. I'm saying that if you are afraid of something, instead of attempting to fight against it, embracing it is a much more effective method of moving forward.
So you're like Fat Bastard on Austin Powers, where he said, "Helmets for your baby."
Oh my word!
I love my baby back ribs.
You're taking this in a weird direction.
So you're actually doing that with old men.
Right.
Helmets for your old man. Get in my belly.
I'm doing that with shadow
Want to
people.
produce a baby.
Oh, dear.
I'm just kidding. Well, back to the lucid dreaming. You know the downfall about lucid dreaming? What is that? What do you think it is?
Oh, I don't know. You're the one who's coming up with it.
Well, when I lucid dreamed for a long time, I mean, I got to the point where I was, and I went back to lucid dreaming even after I quit. I'll tell you that in a second. I wasn't getting proper rest. I started having sleep problems really badly that I wasn't feeling energized. So I wasn't. It's important that you let your brain completely go wherever your dream is taking you. It's very important. If you do that, you'll get a more relaxed. You'll actually reach REM sleep really well, and you'll feel so much better. So anybody that's watching this, if you want to practice lucid dreaming, it's up to you. But I can tell you that you will not, if you get really good at it, you'll probably not get that good of a rest.
Yeah.
And
Well, like if you keep yourself from moving into the different phases of sleep, and by sticking in lucid dreaming,
that's what I did. Yeah, I was staying in this phase of like dream world and I was working so hard with my brain, and yeah, I wasn't getting.
Well, like the thing is, like I do not think that REM sleep is when you're dreaming.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. So REM sleep is just when you. Yeah.
It's when you're compiling.
Oh, God.
I
believe that.
I've actually witnessed this myself. I've woken up from REM sleep slowly to the point where I was able to observe what was going on. And, like, it was crazy. My eyes, I could feel my eyes going all over the place. And I was actually watching images flash before my eyes in rapid succession.
Even though you were awake, you were still seeing the real world, but still an image of flashing things.
It's that point halfway between wakefulness and sleep, where you can kind of
would be scary by itself.
You can kind of get a view into the like inner processes of what your brain's doing while you're sleeping.
Well, you know how why I went back into lucid dreaming when I quit finally?
What's that?
I watched the movie Inception.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, oh, my God. Because this came on at least 15 years later, or longer than that. And because I did this when I was like 11 years old. Okay. So I did this when I was really young. And because I just didn't really have anything else to do.
Right.
I don't know. I just enjoy dreaming more than going outside and playing. So I've always been a dreamer. But I end up watching Inception, and I was like, I am going to try that, where they take the landscape and fold it like that. Like they take a straight board and like that. So I was like, man, I got to try that. So I actually had to it took me about a week to get back into how I controlled my dreams again or remember everything. But I actually did it. I actually folded the dream and did exactly what the Inception said. And I actually went to sleep in my dream and woke up into a deeper sleep dream. But that's as far as I went. Because there was a fear inside of me. I don't know why, the unknown. Because Inception, in that movie, there's levels of sleep. There's where you're asleep, you go to dream world, and then you sleep again. And you go into another deeper dream world where time actually slows down the deeper you go. So, if you go to the 5th level, you could pass by a whole day, but in this level, half a day went by, and in this level, yeah, it goes lower as you get to it. So half a day, and then 30 minutes, and then it goes upwards, doesn't it? Yeah, because you can do a lot in the 5th level. You can live a whole life, as they explained it in Inception. You can live a whole life, and then they came back, and it had only been like a week of sleep or something like that, or 5 days. Yeah. So, but anywho, yeah. Yeah, we almost took up the whole show just talking about lucid dreaming.
Yeah.
That's an interesting subject.
It is. Dreaming is a fascinating subject.
It is. It is interesting.
It's something that everybody experiences. Well, dreaming is something that everybody experiences. I mean, everybody has to sleep.
Yeah, that is the truth.
Actually, there might be some people out there who don't dream. I've heard about people who...
I have heard about that people that told me I just don't dream.
Yeah.
And, I'm trying to figure... I can't put a finger on it of why they're not dreaming.
Well,
it's either they're not reaching REM sleep to dream, and they're restless all the time, and they're not getting that amount of sleep because they've been through a lot in their life, maybe?
Or they're getting good sleep and they're not waking up in the middle of that dream cycle. Because you can only really remember the dream when you're woken up like in the middle of it.
That, right? You know what? That is the truth. Oh, so that's right. They could have dreamt, but don't remember it.
Right.
Oh. So it's like you get not insomnia. What's the thing you get hit in the head and you forget everything? What is that called?
Amnesia.
Amnesia.
Yeah.
You guys will laugh. He has to correct me all the time, so I forget these words. Sometimes I use the wrong pronunciations about certain words or certain. He'll go, "It's not that word, Dusty. It's another word." I go, "Oh, what is it then?" "Oh, it's that." "Oh, okay, that makes more sense." But let's get back to universe. We got another. Looks like we got another 5 minutes. we can take up.
Yeah.
Let's get back to universe. So, let's talk about technology. Let's talk about getting into space. Let's talk about what Elon Musk is accomplishing with his rockets and
people have
Saturn V, or it's not Saturn
ideas.
V. What is the rocket that he just the Starship?
Yeah.
This big Starship that they finally. I wasn't even watching, and they finally launched another Starship, didn't they? And it actually went up and came back down successfully, or was that the same one? Did they have one or two Starships?
I'm not sure. I haven't been following them recently, but I know that they've had a couple of failures and a couple of successes.
Oh, they have. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was watching some videos to where they were like, this ship is huge and it's the biggest thing that ever went into space. And it shows it getting up there into the atmosphere. It shows it going through its first and second stage and everything else. And it didn't blow up. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Maybe they launched another Starship. I mean, I've been so busy with a lot of different things. So I guess I didn't pay attention to that. I need to keep more up to date to that. Even though I have a group called Higher Ideas and Innovations on Facebook. I've got people that are on there that are part of the Space Administration and stuff like that. I've got some real interesting characters in there that post, and we kind of talk about, new technologies, what's happening, their latest tech, and everything else, which we are going to be talking about on the show as we go into the future with this show. So, universe.
Yeah. And people have tried, or at least thought about, crazy ways to get things into outer space. Like, I've even heard of...
We know that spiral thing that goes like that?
No. I'm talking about, like, spaceships that they're trying to design that will get into outer space by having multiple nuclear explosions.
Oh, that's what Hitler was designing. The Bell?
What?
You're talking about the Bell?
No, what?
The Bell.
I've never heard of the Bell. What's the Bell?
Oh, my God. That's exactly what you're explaining right now.
Really?
That's nuclear explosions inside of the Bell. Look at this.
Was it originally a Nazi idea?
Yes, it was.
Oh, Lord.
Hitler's Bell project. Yeah, dude, look at this. The die clock. The Bell project. See it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically,
gravity machine UFO.
Yeah.
That's
no.
different.
It's Nazi. There it is again. Look. Nazi Bell.
Yeah.
So the way this thing works is you have explosions that go off inside it, and I've seen it on documentaries too. And basically, you have an explosion and it gets up, and then it does another one and it gets up, but it doesn't do nuclear explosions. It just does
nuclear.
Yeah. See what I mean?
Like
correcting.
Just nuclear. You're right.
Nuclear.
It's
now,
like
why do I want to say
nuclear.
because you know why? Nucleus.
Yeah.
So that's not nuclear, it's nuclear. Nuclear.
Like it's clear and it's new. It's
nuclear.
Yes.
Nuclear.
Yeah.
Nuclear.
There you go.
God. So yeah, with the Bell, basically was the same kind of thing where they would. So what's another way they tried, basically?
Oh, like one of the ones that I really want to see happen is a space elevator.
Well, the problem with that is they can't find for the strength of the cable to be able to lift it all the way up like they can, because the gravitation of the Earth down here and the thing will just follow the Earth, and that's the tension of that will keep it tension.
Right.
But
and they don't have material strong enough that it won't just rip itself
snap
apart.
itself off. Right. Snap it.
Like there's also a lot of trouble with weather. Like what would happen if a hurricane
Oh, that's
that
right.
whole line in?
Well, have you ever seen the movie Star Trek?
They've
remember the first
ideas that they'd have it on a floating platform and they just move it out of the way of the hurricane.
Remember the movie Star Trek when they first came back with I forget his name, but in the movie you have Spock and Captain Kirk, the younger Captain Kirk and younger Spock. They're jumping. They basically jump out. They land on this big metal thing that's got jets on it that basically keep the line suspended in the air all the way up to space.
Right.
I mean, I guess how would you create enough thrust to keep that up there, and where would you get the fuel from? Right?
Well,
Is that the problem with that?
The idea behind it is that the centripetal force of it rotating around the planet would keep it in a proper orbit.
Oh, so basically, this is just a. Oh, so the jet engines were just to align it, maybe.
Yeah.
Align it to get it properly.
Yeah.
If
Like,
it needs adjustment,
if it
okay,
were like,
over here.
if it required a constant amount of jet fuel to constantly be in the air, that would be completely untenable. You could not do that.
Exactly. Well, that will be another show. So I hope you enjoyed the show, guys. Again, this is Dusty Neal. This is.
Deep thing.
I mean, I'm Dusty Neal. This is Dusty Neal. It's Dusty Neal. It's Dusty Neal. It's Dusty Neal. It's Dusty Neal. Yeah, don't drink, guys.
Oh,
You'll
man.
learn the hard way, or you'll be like that. I played that. I posted something on Facebook where it shows a Jaeger bottle with like a deer head on it, and he's squeezing it, and it's like pouring the shot. But someone put a voiceover of like, and I posted, said, you know, this is why I don't drink anymore.
Yeah.
Don't miss that. Praying to the porcelain god.
The only time I've drunk and actually gotten like sick was when I was drunk Jägermeister. That's like throw up syrup for me. It is so gross.
This is brought to you by not drinking Jägermeister.
Right.
All right, guys, we're going to cut it short. I am Dusty Neal, and this is.
Good thing.
We will see you next time, and thank you guys for tuning in, and we appreciate all the help with your subscribing. So go ahead and press the subscribe button,
Ding.
and ding, 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 and we'll see you next time. All right, later, guys.
Keep it sweet.